Dungeons & Dragons has not had a good history on screen, and there are so many reasons for that, and I'm going to talk about Honor Amongst Thieves more than anything right now, and I've noticed something amongst Honor Amongst Thieves, is that there is a split between the fan base that I find fascinating to watch. One side wants a more serious adult tone fantasy film, that's including me. The other side wants a more meta comedy movie. I keep seeing a lot of the stuff that kind of makes me worried about this film, just for the nature of the fact that they're going to intentionally emasculate the male characters, and I'm not a great lover of that weird meta humour. And with everything that's going on with Wizards of the Coast, from their financial troubles to the OGL drama with D&D, through to more recent things, which are obviously a shameless cash grab that feel more like a publicity stunt than actually creating something. And I'm not going to talk about that here because I just can't. That's no. This film does not scream successful fantasy movie at the moment. Although I will give credit where credit's due. I love the cast. I think the cast are brilliant. And I mean, I like Hugh Grant, I like Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, I really enjoy. So, you know, there is some great casting in here, and I do wonder how it's going to do, and I do wonder where they're going to go with the storytelling a little bit. In the trailer, the cast from the animated series, well, the characters in their costumes pop up in the background, and that has me worried. That really does have me worried. Please don't kill them in the arena, please. I will say, my history with D&D is that I prefer more serious games. The games that I've played over the years are far more serious, far more grounded games. I don't tend to play the funny, jokey games that a lot of people play, and I have noticed that split between the fans, and I've noticed that split completely. And I do wonder how they're going to do it, how this film is going to go, and what they're going to do. Now, history on screen. Let's talk about it. So we have the 2000 D&D movie, which was horrible. It was a critical and commercial failure, and ultimately killed the franchise. The only good thing about that entire movie is Jeremy Irons, because he was obviously having fun. I like Jeremy Irons, and he can make the worst movies good. And, I mean, there's some great casting in that one. There were some actors that really did shine, but the film was not good. There's no way around it. This film was atrocious, and it looked cheap, and it looked TV-ish, and it didn't work on many, many levels. And I could make a whole video about these movies if you ever want me to, and I will do it at some point in the future if you guys are interested. Now, after that one happened, there was a straight-to-DVD, straight-to-video sequel called Wrath of the Dragon Gods, which is so unbelievably awful, and it's not good. It's not a good film. It's probably more D&D than the actual big-budget film, and Bruce Payne reprises his role as the villain, but he does mostly TV movies anyway, so yeah. Then there's this oddity, D&D 3, which is very much a straight-to-DVD, straight-to-streaming film. It premiered on the Sci-Fi Network in the States. I don't actually mind that one. It's not very good, but I don't actually mind that one. It's kind of the love child of Charmed and Game of Thrones, if you want to give an idea of the tone. A little bit of Xena thrown in for good measure. It's so bad, but it's on that so bad it's good list. And again, it's probably more true to D&D than most people realise. But yeah, it's not a good movie. And it suffered from being a budget movie, and it's very obviously budget. And the acting is a bit hammy. Then there was the 2008 Dragonlance, Dragons of Autumn Twilight animated film, which has an amazing cast, but again, it's not a good movie. Like the weird combination of CGI and kind of cheap looking hand drawn animation. You can see the budget went into the CGI. So it's always kind of a weird one on that one. And then there was a D&D adventure. It was an animated interactive adventure, and you chose effectively a DVD version of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. And I genuinely like that. I played that, watched/played, I don't know how you would say that with this, so many times as a teenager in 2003. I still own it. I haven't touched it in years. One of those weird films where it just kind of exists to be a thing with some really horrible CGI. The CGI play-along VHS tapes of D&D come to my mind. And I say this, I don't think the history of it on screen or cinema or TV is particularly great. The only really good thing, was the animated series. And my concern is, this is just going to be that weird, jumbled up meta humor that's just going to fall flat for half the audience. And I think a lot of people have lost faith in Dungeons & Dragons, well, Wizards of the Coast, in recent months. A lot of people are switching games, a lot of people are moving to other things, and it's what's happening. I wonder, and one of the things I have questioned about this is, if the OGL thing had happened, would there be a bit more interest? And I think it's too early to judge the film. I'm just going by leaks and information that seems to have cropped up online. If you're going to create something, look at the audience, and is this movie made for the Tumblr crowd? Is this movie made for actual players? Because there are a lot of tourists in the D&D hobby, thanks to 2020 and Stranger Things, that have kind of taken over certain fan spaces and then leave. And these are the worst kind of people. It's an interesting one to look at, and it's an interesting one to go through. I'm very mixed in my reaction at this point. I'm very mixed in my feelings about this film, partly because, like I said, my D&D experience tends to be very serious, big adventures. I don't enjoy the fun, air quotes, fun, meta humor stuff at all. I don't want to play a comedy show. I want to go on a serious adventure. And admittedly, who doesn't want to go on a fantasy adventure? I just wonder how they're going to do this and how it's going to play out. And I'm worried that it's going to be plot and 45% fan service with little nods and references, and it's just going to fall flat because, again, are they appealing to the Tumblr crowd or actual players rather than... there is this mixed bag. I think there would be maybe a bit more hype for this movie if the OGL stuff hadn't have happened, but going online and stuff like that, the reaction is so split down the middle that I've never seen that hard line between the two. And ultimately, will this just end up being another kids movie? Which is also, and there's nothing wrong with kids movies. I love a good kids movie. I just worry that they're going to try and squash too much together, and it's going to end up being this kind of meta mess, rather than actually, if I want meta humor, I'll watch Family Guy or American Dad. I don't like that in everything, and it has to be done right. So that's my whole instinct on this. The emasculation thing is something I don't particularly enjoy. I think that's extremely bad. I think that's worrying, actually, because, you can't have strong male characters on screen anymore. That is a thing that I find genuinely frustrating, because you can do a balance between a strong female character and a strong male character and have them together and have this kind of moment between them, which the balance has to be right. And just having the male characters turned into comic relief or weird incels or just jokes or just feeling pointless is a problem in a lot of modern media. And we see it over and over again, especially in very mainstream stuff. Honestly, I think a more serious-toned series would be better than a film, and I think D&D is such rich lore and such rich universes that you could have so much fun with it. I mean, there's talk of a Magic the Gathering movie, but God knows if that will ever happen. I think if you're going to do it well and find the right audience, and if you're trying to appeal to both, appeal to both. If you're trying to appeal to one set, you're going to lose half the fan base. So tell me what you think in the comments. This is an open discussion video, and I would be really interested to know what you guys think about this movie.